Fox Sports.
We are Blackmore. We are MC.
Academy Sports and Outdoors presents Royals Baseball. Tonight from Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City, it's Game 1 of a 3-game series between the Minnesota Twins and the Kansas City Royals. Hi, everybody. Steve Physiak, Rex Hudler with you. We'll see the two top teams in the American League Central meet tonight in the Royals and the Minnesota Twins. They've met 13 times, and as we take a look at the Academy leaderboard, the Royals have won 8 of those first 13.
They've been dominant. They've been pitching and hitting and defending. Their key to their success has been coming against the Minnesota Twins. They're doing it with the bats. Look at the gloves. They're all happening at the same time here, but look, it's all about wins. It doesn't matter who they're playing. They got to get back in that win category. Moustakas, you see him going the other way? They got to keep doing that, man. Against Malone today, they can't pull him. They got to use the whole field.
But when this season began, the Bakota projections picked Kansas City 4th and the Minnesota Twins 5th, and they picked Kansas City only to win 72 games.
Well, Fizz, they already won 72 games. That was back August 18th. I don't know what they're thinking.
Well, it certainly has been a reversal of fortune, and who will be celebrating in the dugout when this game ends? Well, with YORDANO Ventura throwing for Kansas City, a lot of people are betting on KC, and pace will be talked about by Joel and Monty when we come back.
'21. Tommy Milone has only given up 3 homers to lefties all year, and 2 of them came in that game to Mike Moustakas and Alex Gordon. See if they can go deep again tonight. At least Mike Moustakas. Alex Gordon is off for this one as he continues to ease back in. Welcome back to Kauffman Stadium. Joel Goldberg alongside of Royals Hall of Famer Jeff Montgomery, and it feels like the Royals may be ready to hit that reset button with Minnesota in town and more of their weapons back and healthy. But the one guy that has been so good for them out of that rotation has been our Honda most trusted player, YORDANO Ventura. What's made him so effective over the last 5?
Well, I think he's been able to really pitch inside effectively. Plus, he's got in a situation where he's really used his curveball and a changeup to put hitters away once he gets to that 2-strike count. A guy that's known for his fastball, but this breaking ball he's got is lethal, and he's really demonstrated the ability to use that, especially again in those 2-strike situations.
And so much of this game, too, can be between the ears. It feels like he has been able to get his confidence, his swagger, everything back after a tumultuous beginning of the year.
Right, exactly. He dealt with a lot of issues that were maybe not all between the lines early in the season. Now he's back on track. He starts opening day, and now he's back in that form you would expect from a guy that's going to throw the first pitch for you during the baseball season.
YORDANO Ventura ready to get to work here on Labor Day. First pitch is coming up next.
Schools across Missouri. Play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. And by your Kansas City Chevy dealers. Visit your local Chevy dealers today for great prices on all our new 2015 vehicles. We welcome you back to Kauffman Stadium on Armed Forces Night. Beautiful display. Very patriotic moment before the ball game. And the Royals have one of the best home records in baseball at 47-25, but have lost the last 3, being outscored 25-7 by Chicago. So KC's lead in the American League Central still 12 because Minnesota lost yesterday in Houston. Meantime, the wild card, the Twins, a game and a half back of the Yankees and the Texas Rangers in that wild card. Of course, New York won today. Toronto lost, so it's getting a little tighter in that East. Here's a look at Paul Molitor's batting order, led off by Aaron Hicks.
Yep, a few players there that Royals fans may not be familiar with. SANO, the designated hitter. This kid is a powerful, big guy. He provides a little power in there. Torrey Hunter's in that lineup, scuffling a little bit, but really, when you play this game, Fizz, who doesn't scuffle? It's a tough game.
Well, for this guy, he has figured it out. Lately, he has been fantastic with an ERA of 1.13 his last 5. That has lowered his ERA from nearly 5 to 4.24. He is looking for win number 11, and he really has been terrific. And as Jeff Montgomery indicated, a lot of the success off that curveball changeup.
That's right. 43 strikeouts in his last 5 outings. He's been dominant. He's the ace that they expected him out of spring training to show up, and he's done that here in his last 5. Salvador Perez we have highlighted, and why not? He's a Gold Glover 2 times and soon to be 3, I'm sure. He's thrown out 5 of 6 twins this year while stealing. Overall, 28% of base stealers he's thrown out, which really is a good mark. Anything 30 is good.
That Royals defense brought to you by Ford. And on Armed Forces Night, we just had a cannon shout out from right field.
Ooh, man, that's a howitzer, Fizz. You hear us talk about that? Comparing that cannon to a guy's arm? That's what it is. That's the real deal right there. Except it's not loaded.
And Alex Gordon actually given the day off, and that's usually the sound after he throws somebody out at second or third base. Here we go. Aaron Hicks, 25 years old, out of Southern California, grew up in the Long Beach area, and he will face Ventura. The right-hander delivers, and Hicks going after the first pitch he sees and fouls it back. He was just 3 for 13 in that Astros series. Ventura coming off a very good start, beat Detroit and got a lot of help from his offense, winning that game 12-1. There are the numbers. There was a time 2 years ago they thought he would be their everyday center fielder, but fell on hard times offensively. And he smacks that one high and deep to right field. Gomes going back at the wall, and it's gone, and Minnesota takes the early 1-0 lead on Hicks' 10th home run of the year.
Ventura left what looks like to me a changeup that was up, and it was a changeup, and that off-speed pitch there is going to speed the hitter's bat up. He's not getting around on 98. That was a mistake early by Ventura. Keep it with the gas, pedal to the metal, challenge these guys early.
Royals have been hurt in the first inning lately. Johnny Cueto was lit up for 3 runs in the first inning yesterday. There's a ground ball. Moustakas spears this one and throws out Dozier, 1 out.
Ventura has tremendous gifts as a pitcher. There's no question about it. The fastball way above average. He'll hit 98. He might even see some 99s. Curveball sharp. Overhand. We call it 12 to 6 on the clock. Good changeup when it's located properly, but it wasn't to the first batter there, Hicks. He's got a cutter, slider, doesn't throw many of those. He doesn't really need them. Keep it down. Keep pounding that strike zone and get that curveball over, and that's been his key. And he's been one of the best lately.
Now facing Joe Mauer. Usually you'll see his average up over 315, 320, but not this year, only hitting 267.
Looking for his first hit off of Ventura in his career, 0 for 5.
There's that good breaking ball, and when he keeps it in that location, he's awfully tough, and he gets the call from third base umpire Chad Fairchild.
What makes it so difficult is that after feeding him fastballs at 98, it looks like a heater coming out, then the bottom drops out. Fool the best of hitters.
Fastball at 98, a bit low. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, the first half showed a glimpse of his past, but he's really struggled since the All-Star break.
But you know, Mauer, he's one of the longest tenured players they have. He's got a nice long contract, but you know, I don't know how much longer they can hit him in the middle with no power.
Yeah, the last time he really showed power was when they played in the old Metrodome.
Well, you know, he likes to get his base hits to the opposite field, and you can tell by the way the defense is playing him. Lorenzo Cain, he's way over in the outfield. And that left center field side, you see how they're all swung over here to the left side. Infielder straight up, giving him the middle.
Check swing. Did he go? He did not. And the count is now full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. And I remember the last time we were in Minnesota, Tom Brunansky was working with Joe Mauer on pulling the baseball more.
Well, you can work on it in BP all you want with a 60-mile-an-hour fastball coming in there, but when it comes to the game, Mauer goes back to his strengths, and that is to the opposite field.
Well, he swings and misses at the heat, and that's 2 out now in the first.
Four-seamer with a lot of life on it. That ball busted out. Had a little bit of hair on that. It's what hitters like to call that pitch, with movement. 3-4 inches maybe on that fastball at that velocity.
Here's the kid you talked about, Miguel Sano. He has had a dynamic beginning since they moved him into the batting order and the starting lineup. 15 home runs, 42 driven in, but he really had a rough time in Houston. He was 1 for 12. Some of the Minnesota people were telling me that because he was matched up with Carlos Correa, and everybody talking about Correa winning the Rookie of the Year award, that Sano tried to do too much, and he struck out 9 of his last 10 at bats. Moves him off the plate, but now a 3-0 count. A couple of guys from the Dominican Republic, YORDANO and Miguel.
This young man has extreme power. Now, one of these days we'll see him at third base. For as big as he is, he's got good body control. He can play pretty good third base.
But not playing that position because he has a slight hamstring injury. So they said if he doesn't run hard down first base, that's the reason. And there is ball 4. So a home run, couple of outs, 2-out walk now to Miguel Sano, and the batter will be Trevor Plouffe. Pat Hoberg is behind the plate. He's calling balls and strikes, but our crew chief Jim Joyce is at first base, one of the best. Greg Gibson at second, and Chad Fairchild at third. Salvi a little demonstrative of what he wanted from YORDANO Ventura. Apparently he saw something on that last delivery he did not like.
Yep, he wants him to, keep that shoulder coming downhill at him and keep it tucked. Don't leak that shoulder. That leaves the ball up in the strike zone.
1 ball, 1 strike. Plouffe, a veteran, 29 years old, out of West Hills, California. That's down near the San Fernando area. He played against Mike Moustakas growing up, although Plouffe a couple of years older. In the dirt.
Last 3 starts, he's had really good command with that curveball. 28 strikeouts, and 19 of those have been with the curve. Might take him an inning or so to get that thing gauged properly. Ooh. Shoulder flying open. That's exactly what Salvi's going to tell him.
And Salvi called time and walks out to visit with Ventura.
Yep. And that shoulder pulls. It's the same thing every night for a hitter and a pitcher. Same keys. It's always the shoulder that leaves the ball up in the zone. And Ventura, he's really done a great job of harnessing his energy. He's got a lot of passion. He's a huge competitor. Sometimes he overthrows. Salvi's trying to really get his attention.
And Plouffe then hits one to left field. Sonoma stop at second base. The Royals really need some help from the rotation. It has been running on empty lately, with the exception of Ventura.
Oh, you saw where Salvi's target was, down and away on the outside corner is where he wanted it. But hitters, they make a living on pitches that are up.
Now Eddie Rosario. He's a .271 hitter this year, a rookie out of Puerto Rico. Really terrific hands, very good speed. And he swings at the first pitch at 97 miles an hour.
No, this young man, he's opened a lot of eyes this season. He's in the top 10 in 13 rookie categories this year. So he's really been a great first-year player, putting up some good numbers, playing some good outfield.
There's a good curveball in there. Advantage Ventura at 0-2. Is this a time, Hud, where after throwing that pitch, you've got the advantage, you've got options where you want that breaking ball maybe even lower?
He could, or he could try to just blow him away with a high fastball. We'll see what he does. Yeah, stay with a hook. We'll see YORDANO back. He'll go back-to-back curves. One of the many things that's improved over his last starts is his brilliance with a runner in scoring position. Hitters are 0 for 25 in his last 5 starts. Execute the pitch right here.
And he does. A swing and a miss by Eddie Rosario. Ventura gets the critical strikeout, but a home run by Aaron Hicks gives Minnesota the lead. We'll see Ben Zobrist lead off when we come back. Not sure what their conversation is about, but they immediately got together at the end of the top of the first inning for this discussion. And let's check out Ned Yost's starting lineup. Royals magic number to clinch the Central down to 15. Magic number to clinch the #1 seed is 23. And Ned's lineup will have Ben Zobrist at the top spot for the first time. And this is his 122nd start at the leadoff position in his career. And the Royals are going to go with Zobrist at the top and Escobar hitting 9th.
Why not? Ben Zobrist over a .400 on base percentage while in that Royals uniform. Okay, it's important to get Tommy Milone early, because this veteran pitcher, when he settles in, if he can get through 3 or 4, he gets better as he goes. He's got a 4 ERA in the first inning, and 4 of his 13 home runs have come in the first inning. Not an overpowering lefty at all. Fastball 86 to 88. He cuts the fastball in. Curveball and a change.
Well, he's been able to graze the outside corner early with Ben Zobrist for a 1-2 count. He has a 7-4 record and a 3.6 earned run average. Beat the White Sox last Wednesday 3-0 with 7 shutout innings. And Zobrist goes center field, but right there is Hicks for the catch and first out. How about the Twins defense?
Highlighted Kurt Suzuki, good catcher, but the Royals have had his number, or not just necessarily his, but the battery combo of the pitcher and catcher. 9 straight steals. Torrey Hunter in right field. Loves playing here at the K.
Here is Lorenzo Cain. Cain 6 for 19 on this homestand.
He's 5 for 18 with a homer off of Malone in his career.
And he'll drop that one into left field.
That'll work.
So now you may see that running that you were talking about, Hut. The Royals 9 for 9 against Suzuki this year.
Yeah, but they'll have to make sure that Malone goes home. Let's see this. A little fastball. Try to get it up and in on him, and Lorenzo Cain is able to spray it out there. Malone's got a good move to first base. He'll vary his holds. But if you go first movement on him, you can get him. Base steals have been successful 8 out of 11 times against him. He's got a little slide step.
Cain with 26 steals this year. Hosmer swings at the first pitch and knocks it into right field. Lorenzo will round second. He's off for third, and there will be no throw from Torrey Hunter.
It's important for the Royals to answer back. Get some early runs early if you can. Try to place those hits, especially when runners get in scoring position. The Royals have hit the ball the last 3 games pretty hard, but have had no luck right at guys. They're going to have to start finding some. Continue to press. Talked about the 4 home runs he's given up in the first inning out of his 13. Look for the cookie early.
As we take a look at the Toyota League leaders, best average with runners in scoring position, Josh Donaldson #1 at 378, but Kendrys Morales, one of the leaders. He's been fantastic this year at 356, looking for his 100th RBI of the season, trying to become the 28th Royal.
So
hit 100 RBIs or more.
From the right side of the plate, if you jump and try to pull him, you're going to fall right into his trap. Morales doesn't have a problem with that. He likes to aim right center. See if he can get the job done here.
Ball 1. Or ball 2, I beg your pardon.
Very, very patient. He's got Johnny Gomes hitting behind him. A little bit of protection there. Morales is 3 for 21 with one of those 3 hits, a home run off Malone.
And Malone more of a fly ball pitcher than he is a ground ball pitcher. He has only induced 5 double plays this year in 19 games. Morales wants to stay away from that. Gets the strike across. 3-1. And that might be his top fastball at 89 miles an hour. Tommy has said many times he has to work both sides of the plate, and particularly down, and change speeds. Hit sharply. Escobar has it, gets it to second. 1 first base. No, and a run scores to tie the game. Cain with his 88th run score this year.
Yeah, Morales will take that 100th RBI. And that was a beauty. Do whatever you can. Stay out of that double play. Morales has grounded into 22 this year, and because the ball was hit so far in the hole, there's no chance for Escobar to complete this double play.
And there have only been a handful of players who have had 100 RBIs in their first season with the Royals. First to do was John Mayberry with 100 back in 1972. Danny Tartabull had 101 in 87. Jeff King with 112 in 97. And the last to do it was Carlos Beltran, 108 in 1999. And now we have a new member to that list, Kendrys Morales.
Johnny Gomes stepping in 3 for 5 in his career with 1 home run off Malone.
The wind is blowing out towards left. We're expecting some mean weather a little later on. Hopefully Royals can get the lead and get 5 in before it gets here. Two balls, no strikes, so he's falling behind right-handed batters in Morales and Gomes, and that's always dangerous.
Well, when you're not overpowering, you got to be really careful, and so he's not one to come inside. Now, typically he's got to be able to come inside against righties, so Johnny Gomes knows that. He's going to protect in there, or maybe Gomes is looking away for the changeup.
Got a strike across, 2-1. In his last start, we told you he shut out the White Sox in 7 innings. But it was his 3rd start this year, allowing no runs. And all 3 preceded starts against Kansas City.
It's a changeup 2-0. He'll throw it again if he throws it 2-0. Nope.
And with the fastball a little bit low. You can tell with his body language he's not happy about whether it's the calls he's not getting or just the fact he's not hitting his spots.
Well, he's a little nervous right here. That's exactly why. 3-1. Gomes is looking to put one in the drink.
He smacks it down the 3rd base line. Plouffe with a nice backhand will throw him out. And that does it for the Royals, but they tie the game on Kendrys Morales' 100th RBI of the 2015 season.
Yeah. Hard charge and digging to stay out of that double play. He earned that 100th stake.
Night at Kauffman Stadium. We salute you, and Futures Night is coming your way September 25th as we welcome select Royals minor league players to the K. The event will feature a pregame autograph session open to all fans on the left field concourse, so arrive early to meet your future Royals. For tickets, visit Royals.com or call 1-800-6-ROYALS. Escobar, nice backhand, throws out the great Torrey Hunter. 1 out.
One thing's guaranteed, Torrey Hunter, he's going to give you 100% of what he has down that line. Always has respect for the game and hustles and plays hard. We've seen him this year against the Royals hit 4 ground balls to Escobar. 4. Now I hope he does that tonight, but look at him. He does this every single time.
Yeah, I was talking with him before the ball game about his sons who are both playing Division I college football, and I said, you know, you're pretty fast, but can they beat Dad now? And they said, yeah, they can beat Dad, but he said, I'm still stronger than they are.
That's right. I bet he can throw him down still.
Yes. Now Kurt Suzuki. Breaking ball misses outside. Matter of fact, his son had a pretty good game in Notre Dame's victory over Texas the other day. Had a couple of big catches for first downs. Torrey mighty proud. This will be a little easier for Escobar. 2 out. There you go, YORDANO Ventura. Just keep that ball down and use that great defense.
Yep, you know, that's another thing. A couple of the young guys on the staff, Ventura, Duffy, they're not overthrowing anymore. They realize what they have behind them, and that's one of the best defenses in the game. Molitor, Hall of Famer. Aren't too many Hall of Famers that are managers. Molly's done a fine job in his first season. And you see how his players run? That's because he expects it.
He did every day of the year of his career. And now the left-handed batting Eduardo Escobar, who might be their hottest hitter in the lineup, hitting .381 his last 12 games. He had 2 hits, including a home run against the Astros. Twins, we told you, started the night a game and a half back of the wild card.
He's 3 for 5 in his career against Ventura, so he's got a few knocks off him.
And YORDANO falling behind 3-1. He made a mistake with the first batter, Aaron Hicks, threw him a changeup that did not fade. It kind of stayed in the middle of the plate and hit it out. Goes fastball at 98, swung on and missed.
At 98, you'll be late, believe it. Especially with that late moving action towards the end as the ball gets closer to the plate.
Misses high and outside. Ball 4, second walk for Ventura. So we will have to face Hicks, the guy who hit the home run off of him. Aaron twice has been on the disabled list this year, and most recently for a hamstring injury. But since coming off, he's been playing very, very well. I mean, he went down to the minor leagues and rehab for only about a week. Went 7 for 17. Strike 1.
YORDANO wanted this pitch down, and from watching Cueto, we all know what the ball and how many hitters can hit that when it's elevated. You know, not just Johnny, but any pitcher.
He has Hicks down 0-2. Johnny, you might remember the first 5 White Sox batters reached yesterday, and they were all on pitches up. Base hits.
Yep.
Where he's missing out of the zone and walked.
Hasn't been able to make adjustments his first time through the American League. You have to remember, it's a new league, new team. There's adjustments that need to be made.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
There's some 99, but so far I think Dave Island would like to see his pitch count a little lower.
Yeah, he threw 27 pitches in that first inning and 13 so far. He got 2 quick outs, and then Escobar walked. He struck him out. Good off-speed pitch. Gets his 3rd strikeout of the night. And we head to the bottom of the 2nd inning here at Kauffman Stadium. The Royals and Twins tied at 1.
Yeah, that's where he wants to finish.
Moustakis will lead things off. He'll be followed by a couple of right-handers and Salvador Perez and Paulo Orlando. Another very good crowd on hand for game 1 of this 3-game series. It's a Labor Day holiday. We were saluting the armed forces before the night and will throughout the evening. Matter of fact, there's a Medal of Honor winner in the house. Mike with a line drive base hit to right field. Tom Malone, a crafty left-hander with a little bit of a funky delivery. And how about his splits, Hud?
Yeah. Now look, the righties are going to do most damage home run wise against him. Lefties, you know, he has some success, and that's a typical splits on a lefty. There's only 2 left-handers in Ned's lineup, Hosmer and Moose. And Moose just got a knock. He's hitting .250 coming in. 6 homers against lefties. That's a good mark.
So the lefties tonight are 2 for 2. Hosmer getting a single also. There's a ground ball. That's not good. 5-4 and a. Wait a second. Oh, we might have a challenge here. Jim Joyce called him out. And Ned going to the top step. He wants to know if Don Wakamatsu has a challenge here.
Well, you know, Morales has grounded into 21 double plays. Oh, excuse me. Morales is 22. Salvi's 21.
They will not challenge.
Now it's 22.
Ooh. It has to be in the back of the glove. Ooh, that's awfully close.
That was a close one. You know,
you don't want to burn it early.
No, you don't. And play that close, the call's going to stand, and then you burn it.
Got to be clear and convincing.
That's right. You know, and Billy Duplessis, he's the video replay coach for Ned Yost, and has done a fantastic job. 16-10 in his challenges this year.
Now the batter Paulo Orlando. He's back in there because of lefty in the mound, and he's been hot. Paulo with a 6-game hit streak, 8 for 20. And they're not just measly hits. 3 of them are doubles, a triple. He also belted a long home run in the left center field seats.
This young man here is gaining confidence every game and every at bat. Thing I like about him, not just that he's a tremendous athlete, but he plays every day like it's his last.
There are the numbers, 8 for 20. Paulo will turn 30 on November 1st, but he had over 1,000 games in the minor leagues, so he earned his stripes.
He sure did, Fizz. You know, a lot of players get into their prime right now in their 30s, early 30s. He doesn't even know, and we don't know what kind of ceiling he's got.
I mean, you always have to take into consideration his growth. He was not necessarily a baseball player growing up, more a track star in Brazil, and he played on weekends, baseball on weekends, and a scout with the Chicago White Sox saw him, who basically was scouting Cuba, but happened to see Cuba against Brazil and said, hey, there's a really good athlete in the Brazilian team, we should sign.
You know, Fizz, I got to play 10 years in the minors myself. Okay, hung in there just like Paul, staying hungry, had my best season at 35 years old. That can happen for Paulo.
I broadcast that season, 1996. You hit over 300.
I was lucky to have one good year out of that.
You had more than one.
No, but still.
You had 1.5.
What I'm trying to say is that Paulo he's just got here. His career is just starting.
Royals like versatile outfielders, guys who can play all 3 outfield spots. And with Kauffman Stadium so spacious, you need that athleticism. Dozier gets there and makes a very nice play to get the speedy Orlando. So the Royals done in the second. We head to the third, tied at 1.
Mound got him.
is one of the Royals' newest relievers. The Royals selecting the contract of Jabba Chamberlain today as he joins the team. Our University of Kansas Hospital injury report takes a look at Kelvin Herrera rejoining the team from chickenpox, and not just Kelvin, also Alex Rios. They are both back. First pitch swinging, fouled away, and this was much quicker than many thought. First off, we see Jabba there, very excited. Remember, he grew up in Nebraska, and his first big league pitching coach was Dave Island. So a chance for him to see if he can figure some things out with a guy that knows him very well. Guys, as for Rios and Herrera, they're both available tonight. In talking to Alex, he said that he never really felt sick. He didn't have any of those flu-like symptoms or anything that felt bad, so that enabled him to stay in shape. A lot of that's just the immune system of these athletes that are so well trained. He said he spent the last 3 days here taking ground balls before players got here in the outfield. He was able to swing. He said the only thing that he really suffered from at home was cabin fever, getting a little bit antsy to get out of the house. Both guys are back much sooner than expected.
Thank you very much, Joel. And now Joe Mauer will bat after Dozier grounded out. Mauer struck out swinging. First time up.
Yeah, Joel did a great interview with Gomes the other day. I think it was yesterday. Gomes said, entering this clubhouse, he's been in a lot of them. He says he's seen more six-packs in this clubhouse than any other clubhouse. and he's talking about their abs.
Guys in great shape. Well, the Royals not only calling up Jabba, but also bringing back Lewis Coleman, who had a very good year down at AAA Omaha this year, and rewarded with a September call-up. Ned Yost told us that they just needed more right-handed relief help.
And you know, this September call-ups are huge for players. Now, a lot of them are on split contracts, and they get paid a certain salary in AAA and a certain salary in the big leagues. So if you get a full month of September, that'll help pay some bills, man. That's a big bump for a lot of guys.
Meantime, Ventura has fallen behind Mauer, who does walk a lot. He has great plate discipline. He's walked 51 times this year, but striking out more than he usually does. Usually you rarely see him strike out 100 times in a season, but he struck out 94 already. And 95 with that Ventura strikeout in the first. A little bit low, ball 4. So third walk already by YORDANO, who only walked 1 in 7 innings when he beat Detroit in that last start.
A few command issues with his fastball. His curveball, he hasn't exactly put it where he wants it so far, but Dave Island's hoping he can just hold him right there.
YORDANO matched a career high with 11 strikeouts in back-to-back games. Now facing SANO. Walked his first time up. And Miguel's major league debut was against Kansas City, a series back in July, and boy, did he impress everybody. 6 for 15, a couple of doubles. It seemed like every time the ball came off his bat, there was a rope somewhere.
Well, when he puts the ball in play, he's hitting over 400.
0-2. He is hit into 2 double plays this year.
Ventura has induced 8 double plays. Yep.
He went, and he knew it. So that's 4 strikeouts for Ventura, 2 outs now in the 3rd inning.
You know, his curveball, he's been throwing much harder, and we've seen him changing speeds earlier in the season. His curveball break was at 83, 82, 83. Now we're seeing some higher velocities with his break on that pitch, and it's been extremely effective.
Escobar has it, gets it to ZOBRIST, inning over. Andrew Potter is sitting in the Buck O'Neill legacy seat. How about this, Rex? Spending 6 years in the Army as an infantry officer, Andrew deployed 3 times to Afghanistan. First as a scout sniper platoon leader with the 82nd Airborne, same airborne that my brother was in. Then as an Army Ranger. After leaving the military in February of this year, Andrew became involved in Save a Warrior, focusing on experiential healing and taking other former members of the military rock climbing and running team building and leadership courses. What a great guy.
Yes, thank you for your service, Andrew, and Buck O'Neill would be proud.
Here is Alcides Escobar, who fouls it back for strike 1.
Well, Escobar loved hitting leadoff. He did it for almost a year. But now look at him, he's hitting 9th and he's leading off. But the difference between leading off the game and hitting 9th is, look, he's getting his first at bat here in the 3rd inning.
Tell you, he's a guy very proud.
He understands.
He rolls this one to short. Eduardo Escobar, no relation, grounds out. Vote for the Royals Player of the Month at rallyhouse.com and you will be entered to win a majestic prize pack from Rally House. Ben won in August, and he's hitting .326 as a member of the Royals with 5 home runs, 17 RBIs. He's flied out. First pitch, breaking ball in there, strike 1. How do you like this new change? Because Ned told us tomorrow when we face Kyle Gibson, it will be Zobrist 1 and Alex Gordon 2.
Well, Ned, he knows his addition, he knows his math, and he wants his on-base percentage guys at the top of the order. Zobrist 400, so is Gordon. I like it. Ooh, good discipline to lay off of that. That's where Zobrist's eye comes in, and that's one of the reasons why he's in that spot to get on base, is he's got a keen eye. That's a good pitch. A lot of hitters swing at that.
Ben pops it up left side, drifting out Eduardo Escobar, who will make the catch, and 2 outs here in the 3rd. Tommy Milone was not a high prospect. He was just the Washington Nationals 10th round pick out of USC, and then traded to the A's in 2008, part of that Gio Gonzalez deal when the Nationals got that left-hander they wanted. He had 2 very good years with Oakland, won 13 games in 2012, 12 games in 2013. Then picked up by Minnesota, and with the injuries that they've suffered to Ricky Nolasco and Phil Hughes, he's been made a starter again and had a good year.
Free and easy with his pitches, not overpowering. Hits his spots with his changeup, cuts the ball in. Haven't seen him be too aggressive in so far to righties. He's staying away from them.
Now he's trying to tease Kane away. Lorenzo singled to left field his first time up and came around to score in the ground out by Morales. One ball, 2 strikes. Breaking ball misses.
Lorenzo Kane, he's been feasting off lefties all year. .348 average. 7 of his 14 homers come against lefties. Changeup coming.
And he did not bite on the one that faded low, so a full count at 3 balls and 2 strikes. That ball whacked to center field, but it will stay up for Aaron Hicks, who will make the catch, and Milone has his first clean 1-2-3 inning.
On this holiday, including baseball at Fenway Park. Mark Burley had a rough day. Jackie Bradley Jr. has been on fire. He leads the Red Sox to an 11-4 win over the Blue Jays. And then in New York, Bird's the word. Greg Bird goes deep. And all the talk about the loaded Blue Jays, and yes, they are good. They are right now just a half a game ahead of the New York Yankees. And those two teams, guys, square off over the weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in New York. What a race going on right now in the American League East.
I mean, throughout baseball, but New York and Toronto, the way they've gone at it, it is going to be a marvelous September. I also think it's going to be interesting for the Houston Astros as we see Rosario single to center field, because Houston is on a difficult path on their road trip, which goes to Oakland and then Anaheim and then Texas. Well, Steve Physioc, Rex Hudler, we're joined now by the Hall of Famer Jeff Montgomery, and Monty wanted to talk to you about YORDANO, what you see tonight. His command not as sharp as it was against Detroit, but boy, he's shown two very good breaking pitches.
Yeah, he's really kind of picked up right where he left off as far as putting guys away with that breaking ball, and it's a good sign to see. I think he's he has temptations occasionally to throw that fastball to hook guys away, but now he's been so successful these last 3 or 4 starts with the curveball putting guys away.
Yeah, in those 3 starts that Monty was talking about, Ace has 28 strikeouts, and 19 of the 28 strikeouts are on that wicked breaking ball. Here is Torrey Hunter, rounded out his first time up. Five of the 9 outs that Ventura has recorded tonight have been ground outs.
Twins don't do a whole lot of stealing, but Rosario has 10 bags. He's been caught 5 times.
And we all know what a tough combination this pair is, Ventura and Salvador Perez.
Yep, there's only been 2 successful base stealers, and Yordano Ventura's 325 2/3 innings. Pretty impressive. Joey Gallo, Texas, and Yoenis Cespedes.
In there, 1 and 2.
Oh,
time had been called.
That is way too late. You can't grant timeout when the pitcher's already in his windup. I don't know why they do that.
It's a young umpire, Pat Hoberg, and he gave it to the veteran Torrey Hunter.
I mean, you just sometimes let the pitch go. You tell the hitter after the pitch. You say, hey, look, you got to give it to me sooner. I can't do that to the pitcher.
Two balls, 2 strikes.
Last 19 games, Hunter's been scuffling. He's hitting $141. No homers. 22 strikeouts.
He just turned 40. And he chases that off-speed pitch and strikes out. Number 5 for Ventura.
We're going to see a nice put away pitch here. 2 strikes against Corey Hunter. There was a first inning leadoff home run from Aaron Hicks. Gets a changeup up in the strike zone. Then he's going to go to the 2nd inning, 2 strike count. Comes back to the curveball. Nice put away pitch.
Yeah, we really haven't seen many changeups since that first mistake he made to Hicks. He's mainly gone with the fastball and curveball, but Monty, I really think he's got 4 pitches when you just talk about those 2. He's got the 4-seamer, the 2-seamer with really great life, and then the 82 to 83 curve and the 88 to 89 hook. There's the softer curve. And one more time, 4 of his 5 strikeouts on the curve tonight.
Yeah, and Monty, you know, he's changing pitches on the curve. The last 5 outings we've noticed he's going 83 to 88, 89 sometimes with that pitch.
Right, and what I've noticed is he's thrown a lot of curveballs early in counts that are strikes, and hitters are taking those pitches because they're really just kind of fooling them or beating them. And then he gets 2 strikes and he throws that really good one, that one that has a lot of life to a lot of finish out of the strike zone. And then his changeup, that changeup in the first inning to Hicks stays in the strike zone, and a good changeup essentially should finish out of the strike zone.
Well, he's fallen behind Kurt Suzuki, who's hitting .350 his last 11 road games. There's a ground ball short. Escobar gets one. Zobrist will be unable to get Kurt. But they do get the lead runner. And now we'll face Eduardo Escobar with the runner at first base and 2 out.
Okay, Kurt Suzuki says, all right, that ball's got 2 high bounces. I can beat that out. Good hard slide in there, too, by Rosario.
Escobar lines it past Hosmer down the right field line. Gomes will get to it quickly, and Suzuki will be held at third base.
Make Escobar 4 for 6 now off of Ventura. Quick hands on this pitch here that was down and in. I mean, he just put a nice easy swing on it, hit it where it was pitched, right by Haas.
I didn't think it was that bad a location, but it might be one of those situations where you go, let's don't throw him there again.
Could be. Right now, Ventura wants to do what he's been doing with runners in scoring position. Getting them, shutting them down. That'll work.
Zobrist gets it. Throws out Hicks. Inning over. Minnesota leaves 2. Good job by Ventura in the clutch. Eric Hosmer. Kendrys Morales. Johnny Gomes coming up for KC. Brought to you by Panera Bread. Avoid the lines. Order online with rapid pickup at delivery.panerabread.com. By Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by Dodge. Keep summer performing with great deals at the Dodge Labor Day sales event. Back at Kauffman Stadium, Tommy Milone facing Eric Hosmer, and he delivers strike 1, a fastball. Haas singled to right field. That got Kane to third, and then the Royals, Kendrys Morales grounded out, tying the game at 1. And we've stayed put ever since.
Talked about how important it is to get to Tommy Milone early in this game for reasons that Milone usually settles down throughout the rest of the game. However, he gets some runs now early because a big storm's coming. It's brewing. We might have some rain later.
And he's trying to tie up Eric inside. Malone's command has been very good.
Yeah, he's got that outside corner to the right-handed batters down pat today.
And then he works him soft away, and Haas pulls it to the second baseman and grounds out 4-3. It's now time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag KCDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. We come to you from Kauffman Stadium, a crowd well over 30,000 on hand on a Labor Day evening. We have not been given the official attendance, but it could be a sellout. Morales swings mightily and misses. It's interesting, Monty. This is the same battery that Tommy Milone came up in the major leagues with in Oakland when Kurt Suzuki took over from Jason Kendall. And Tommy really let Kurt guide him through those first few seasons. And the one thing Kurt said was he's very calm, he's very cool, he's not one of those emotional kids, even when he was a rookie. Good off speed.
Speaking with some of the members of the Twins broadcast crew today, and they were talking about Milone and how sometimes dependent he is on the umpire that he gets behind the plate. A lot of umpires will give him that extra inch or two, particularly on the right-handers outside. If you're a soft throwing lefty, you get an extra couple of inches on the outside part. Makes you pretty tough. It reminds me a lot of Tom Glavine back in the day. He would just expand that plate and get those calls on the outside.
That's right. So hitters that have a pattern on a guy like that, you belly up, you move up on the plate 2 inches, and the meat of your bat's on the outside part of that corner. Look to pull him.
Tried to get the off speed exactly where you were talking about, Monty, just a couple of inches off the plate. This time Morales doesn't bite. So it's a 3-2 count, and he may go off speed again. Oh, Kendrys pops it up right side. Torrey Hunter in foul territory, runs out of room.
That was his pitch. He just pulled off at a tick.
Looked like a changeup. Maybe he left right in the middle part of the plate.
That was the one. Elevated. Hitters love elevation. Pitchers don't.
No, they don't.
Hits it sharply, but right at Escobar. 2 outs. And Royals fans, it's time to celebrate the best fans in baseball. Join us for Fan Appreciation Night presented by Sprint on Saturday, September 26th, as the boys in blue host the Cleveland Indians. The night will feature games, giveaways, and great prizes. Plus, the first 10,000 fans will receive a Royals knit stocking cap courtesy of Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City. Get your tickets now at Royals.com or by calling 1-800-6-ROYALS. We get our second look at Johnny Gomes tonight. He grounded out sharply to third, and he takes strike 1. Five of Johnny's 7 home runs have come off lefties. Wow, we've got more than a month till Halloween. Foul back.
Johnny Gomes, when he comes up and you see him, he's not looking for a lousy single to right. He is up there trying to pull that ball out of the ballpark. He has a short, compact stroke, very strong.
Malone then barely misses inside with the fastball.
Getting to know Johnny just a little bit since he's come over to the Royals. Comes across a lot differently when you get to know him than when you play against him. When you see him on the opposition, he's quite a smart baseball man.
And now he has run the count full to 3-2.
Can't look fastball. You've got to look soft. 3-2.
Yeah, Monty, he's really interested in talking the mechanics of the game of hitting, but also the emotions of the game, the highs and lows, and maintaining a consistency through that.
Well, he's been through a lot in his life, and he really kind of takes it into his baseball game and appreciates the opportunity to put that uniform on every day.
Well, you know, baseball and life go hand in hand. It's because you got to produce every day. Folks out there work hard for a living every single day, like these ball players, and so you learn a lot. In this game, you learn more by failure.
A lot of failure in baseball, that's for sure.
Here is one of the two lefties that the Royals have in the lineup tonight. And those lefties are 2 for 3, Hosmer and Moustakas. Mike singled sharply to right field in the play in the same way they played him back in inning number 2 with 3 infielders in the right side and the second baseman rather deep. 20 feet out on the outfield grass.
Now they still believe Moose is going to pull the ball. And then lots of times they try to get you in. Try to pitch to that defense. It's a little bit of a hanger there, but didn't quite hang over the middle. It's a good spot. Moustakas has turned himself into a solid major league hitter this season. With the adjustments he's made going to left field, we talked about it for 2 years, Monty, how he's going to have to shorten up and start using left field so he can get his batting average up, and he's going to drive in more runs.
Make the adjustments. That's what it takes.
Backing out of play.
All right, there you go. There's the hits by direction. Moustakas well balanced this year, and we see in situations like this a 1-2 count. If the ball's middle away, Moose is quiet with his body and just takes his hands to it by staying inside of it.
They're pushing Tommy Malone's pitch count up, who's now at 62. Bottom of the 4th inning, tied at 1. The count 2 balls 2 strikes to Mike Moustakas with Johnny Gomes at first base. Just low, and another 3-2 count for Malone. He is teasing the Royals, trying to get them to swing at his pitch. Now they're showing greater discipline. Perez waiting. And he swings and misses at a breaking ball and strikes out. First for Malone. That artistry shown to us by Sam Abramson and Nick Danzel. We thank them for that. They put on a show every single night on Fox Sports Kansas City, and YORDANO Ventura will try and continue his shutout string that has gone 3 innings after giving up a leadoff home run to the first batter he faced, Aaron Hicks, on a poorly located changeup, and really has not thrown many changeups since. He will face Brian Dozier, then Joe Mauer, then Miguel Sano, hitters 2, 3, and 4. Ball 1. The Royals at 82 and 54 with a 12-game lead on Minnesota. The magic number to clinch the Central is at 15. And we do invite you to be here tomorrow and Wednesday. Good pitching matchups. Volquez against Kyle Gibson, and then Wednesday Medlin against Pelfrey. Ouch, that hurt.
You know, Dozier, he's been a fantastic player for the Twins, especially this season. 65 extra base hits. That's second in the American League. That fastball running in caught him on the ankle, and I'm not sure there was much protection around that spot it hit him. Scored 92 runs. That's third in the AL. That'll slow him down some. He's got some pop.
Josh Donaldson, who else has the most extra base hits in the American League? Mike Trout right behind Brian. And Ventura with a fastball elevated at 96.
Guys, the one thing I've really noticed about Ventura over the last 4 or 5 starts he's made, just how free and easy he is out on that mound. Just looks like he's so calm.
Pops up a breaking ball. Lorenzo Cain is there to make the catch. And right you are. He just seems to be comfortable, calm, and a guy that Dayton Moore, his general manager, really believes in. And you can get Dayton Moore's new book, More Than a Season. The book explores the intersection of faith, family, and leadership, and the process of rebuilding a championship culture in Kansas City. 100% of the proceeds from book purchases support Dayton's charity See You in the Major Leagues. So you can purchase your autographed copy today at the Majestic Team Store. With 1 out, here is Joe Mauer. Joe struck out his first time up and then walked his last. He's left stranded after Sano struck out, and Ventura got Plouffe on a force. That's a base hit.
Contrasting styles we're seeing from both starting pitchers tonight. One overpowering, hard, the other guy's soft, hitting his spots, but both matching zeros here tonight. After that first inning, both teams scored their first runs. It doesn't really matter how you do it, Monty. It's just do it, right?
Right. It's just consistently go out, repeat that delivery. You're in the big leagues for a reason. You've done something to earn the opportunity to go out and start a game for your club, and when you consistently repeat the delivery, make the pitches, it doesn't matter how you do it, you're going to be successful.
Soft or hard, it just doesn't matter.
Now he wants to keep it down, maybe get 2 outs on 1 pitch. He does keep it down, but too much so. And Salvador Perez bluffs a throw to first base. He was having to almost circle around Miguel Sano because the ball was right at his feet. Salvi was trying to get to it, and Sano was trying to dance out of the way.
Yeah, Salvi just gave him a little bit of love, saying, hey, look, sorry, but you know, that hitter does not have to move. He can stay in that box all he wants. Catcher's got to go around him.
Sano was thinking about pulling the trigger on one that was just low.
Be great to see Sano bite on one of these curveballs down, get him a ground ball. He's not running well with that hamstring injury.
He has struck out 10 of his last 12 plate appearances. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Sometimes you get out of your rhythm, and you and I were talking with some of the Minnesota personnel, and they thought that Sano went into Houston thinking he had to one-up Carlos Correa. And he swings and misses and strikes out. Number 6 for Ventura tonight.
Nothing unusual here. 2 strikes, throw the curveball, swing right over top.
That's the perfect one right there. Comes out belt high, ends up below the knees.
That gives him 34 strikeouts his last 3.5 starts. He had those back-to-back games with 11 in each. And now he delivers strike 1 to Trevor Plouffe, who is singled and grounded out.
YORDANO looking determined.
Boy, that's tough to not swing at.
Plouffe's waiting on the heater. There's no doubt. He's told himself, I'm not going to swing at that thing unless I get 2 strikes, and then I'm in trouble.
And that's why YORDANO's been so good lately, throwing that curveball as a get-me-over pitch. It doesn't have to finish out of the strike zone, and he's able to get himself in a position, then put guys away.
And now Plouffe puts himself in a position where he has a greater percentage of seeing that fastball on a 2-1 count. YORDANO has thrown 78 pitches, not yet through 5. Well, he did get the heater, but a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And our DraftKings tonight players to watch. You can go to DraftKings.com and enter promo code BRoyal. Ventura 1 run and 4 2/3. Mookie Betts, good day today, and a victory over Toronto, 3 for 5. John Ryan Murphy 2 for 4, and Dexter Fowler 2 for 3 with a home run. 3 and 2. Those Cubs, along with Pirates, leading the National League in the wild card. They have a 7.5 game edge, though, over Washington and San Francisco. Here KC and Minnesota tied at 1. Ventura with the 3-2 pitch to Trevor Plouffe. It's high. So he's walked 4 tonight to go with his 6 strikeouts. And that's why the high number of pitches, 81. He threw 108 pitches in 7 innings at that last start. Eddie Rosario singled his last time up the middle. Ball 1. We told you rain on the way. The Royals would love to keep the Twins quiet here in the top of the 5th inning, and then with the bottom of the order, Perez, Orlando, and Escobar somehow scratch a run across. 2-0. Mauer singled with 1 out. Plouffe walked with 2 out. He chases, looking for the fastball, didn't get it.
Yeah, that was back-to-back changeup. The changeup just before that one, he kind of leaked open a little bit, and the ball finishes out of the strike zone. That time he stayed behind the ball a lot longer and was able to get that ball in the strike zone.
And YORDANO gets right back in the count after falling behind. 2 balls, no strikes. Gets back in with the changeup.
A whole lot he can do now. He's thrown him 3 consecutive changeups. 2 of them have been very good pitches.
And this is why he's doing so much better with runners in scoring position. He's not throwing the fastball saying, here it is.
Right.
Tried to tie him up inside at 99. Full count, 3-2.
Yeah, Monty, you mentioned it. Ventura, that is just effortless. That's a 99, free and easy. Doesn't look like he's exerting himself, and the ball explodes.
And he's done a great job of pitching inside over his last 4 or 5 starts also.
Goes back with that breaking ball.
Got to credit Rosario. He's now fouled off 3 really good pitches.
This is a guy you can strike out. He struck out 99 times this year, and he's only walked 11. Just did barely grab a piece of it.
Paulo Orlando in left field has 4 outfield assists. Good arm. Johnny Gomes has 4 in right. Lorenzo Cain 6 in center. Ed KC does reach the outfield. Just got a piece of that. Rosario, you got to go.
I hope you're enjoying it. Why don't you say we win this ball game and you can come back for maybe Buck Night. And the last Buck Night of the year is on Friday, September 25th, as the Royals take on the Tribe. Stock up on dollar hot dogs and peanuts presented by Visit KC. For tickets, go to Royals.com or call 1-800-6-ROYALS. Tommy Milone will face Salvador Perez. Salvi swinging the bat a lot better in the second half, and I think a lot of it has to do with the way Ned has used him. He's given him 13 games off, Hud, since July 5th, and it seems like every time he comes back after that day off, well, he is swinging the bat well.
He has been.
He pops this one up. Alone off speed. And there is out number 1.
Malone showing pinpoint accuracy with that fastball and changeup, and they're all in the same spot, but minus some velocity, fooling the hitters.
Now Paulo Orlando, who's robbed of a hit and a fine play by Brian Dozier to end the second inning. Wind picking up, blowing out towards left, so if Paulo can get the ball in the air, he could get some help. And instead, he rolls one to short. Escobar will throw him out. 2 quick outs for Tommy Milone. Ventura's needed almost 90 pitches to get through 5, and Malone had a nice comfortable 67. His most taxing inning was the 4th, where he threw 23 pitches to get 3 out, but has needed only 3 pitches to get 2 outs here in the 5th.
You know, before the game started, I knew that if the Royals' approach was going to be to try to pull him, they were going to have some trouble because, you know, soft tossing lefties that hit those corners, they're tough to pull. They have to wait a little bit longer and try to go to right field. You see, everything is on that outer half and down, and when you try to pull it, you pop it up or hit ground balls.
Yeah, he's got a good cutter. He threw it to Paulo Orlando to get him to ground out there on that first pitch, but other than that, he's pretty much been outside on the right-handers all night long.
And then he gets Escobar to chase. So a very strong first 5 innings for Tommy Malone. We remain tied at 1 going to the 6th.
Runner is set to come up. Everywhere he seems to go, that team seems to win, and when he leaves teams, they start to lose. Look at what happened with the Angels. Look at what's happening with the Tigers, and now the Twins winning. Talking to Torrey about this today, he said that he's trying to teach these guys all the time. He said the Royals now know how to win because they've already experienced the playoffs. They've been in the moment. They know what to expect. He's trying to teach that to the young Twins. He said winning is a mentality. Losing is a mentality. It's not what you do, it's how you think of yourself. And Torrey, who's been struggling lately, is going to start off with a hit. He's trying to get them to be able to handle things and get through adversity and understand what's a big deal and what is not, what you understand and what you don't. He almost seems like a father to all of these guys. And Fizz, you mentioned it before about his sons and being the athletes that they are. Torrey, over the weekend, when he had a chance in between innings, would scoot up to the clubhouse to try to catch some footage of Notre Dame's game. His son, Torrey Jr., had a couple of catches for 31 yards and some rushes in that game for Notre Dame. He said Jr. still split on whether he's going to play baseball or football. He's doing both at Notre Dame. And his other son, who goes by the name of Money, by the way, Money Hunter, had some tackles in a blowout loss to USC, 55-6. For Arkansas State. He thinks the NFL might be in Money's future.
And Joel, with Torrey Hunter, it is all about winning because 13 of the last 14 teams that he played on had winning records. That speaks volumes. Just an absolutely great guy in the clubhouse and on the field. That ball popped up right side. That will get out of play. And Rex, I remember when he was first acquired by the Angels, and I went into the clubhouse early just to see what the reaction would be when he came through the doors for the first time. and he put smiles on every single person in that clubhouse. He came in and he was just joy. He was having fun. He was smiling, laughing with the guys, picking them up, encouraging every single person he touched.
He gets it.
Up the middle, Escobar can't get it to Zobrist.
Minnesota Twins applying some pressure on Ventura now in the second consecutive inning here. Escobar had a little more time, and he could have made sure of the one out. He rushed it a little bit, and as a result, it was behind Zobrist, and he couldn't contort his body enough to catch it and stay on the bag. And this is the wrong guy to be facing in this situation here. Eduardo Escobar, 4 for 6 in his career against Ventura. Hit a nice double last time up.
And then he cracks one in the gap right center field. This will score Hunter, and moving to third is Kurt Suzuki. So it's 2-1 Minnesota.
First pitch fastball, he's sitting on it. Got it, just like Torrey Hunter was. Both hitters swinging on the first pitch. And that's what hitters look for lots of times on a guy with a dominant fastball. And there it was. Right down the middle, short and compact. Nice stroke.
So Dave Island comes out for a visit as you see Hunter score the go-ahead run. Twins lost yesterday to Houston, and that was a game they really feel they should have won. They led 2-0. Kelvin Herrera, meantime, beginning to warm in the Kansas City bullpen. Good to see him back after he suffered the chicken pox. But the Twins led yesterday by 2 runs in the 7th inning and could not hold on. Got the first 2 outs of that 7th and then just fell apart. And now Hicks trying to move those runners. Aaron has homered, struck out, and grounded out.
He made sure not to throw him first pitch fastball.
Moustakas in, and Hosmer, of course, holding Escobar at first base. One ball, one strike. Ventura has not had one easy inning. They have had runners on every single frame. And finally, they were able to string 3 straight hits together and scratch a run across, their first since the first.
One of those situations where you really want to get a strikeout. You get 2 strikes on the leadoff batter here. Get your strikeout, and you're 1 pitch away from getting out of the inning.
And he rips a 98-mile-an-hour fastball by a swinging Aaron Hicks and does strike him out for a critical first out of this 6th inning.
A lot of life on that fastball. Up and away. Hicks really couldn't even come close to reaching that one.
So now the veteran Brian Dozier, who twice has grounded out. That's exactly what the Royals need here. And he shows, but ball gets away, and here comes Suzuki with the 3rd run. After making a great pitch to Hicks, he throws one in the dirt. skip between the legs of Salvador Perez.
Yep, Salvi came up a little bit too high, and the ball hit and stayed down. Sometimes it hits the corner of the plate like that, and it'll stay down, especially with that overhand spin on that curve.
Dozier takes a strike. It's a 1-1 count.
Very costly wild pitch. Not only is a run scorer, no longer are you in a ground ball double play situation.
Dozier knocks it foul. Another guy you can strike out. He has struck out 130 times this year. Royals will have the top of the order coming up in the bottom of the 6th. And Dozier chases one and just does grab a piece of it and fouls it off to hang around at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Ooh, I don't know.
I didn't see the ball with that super slow motion camera alter any with a tip. I thought he missed it.
Dozier sold it well, as if he did make contact, so he's hanging around still at 1 ball and 2 strikes. And another one gets away from Salvador, and Escobar will make it to 3rd. Now the Royals may bring their infield in. That will help out Dozier.
Yeah, that was well off the mark there. He pulled it. He pulled that curve.
Yeah, when a curveball is coming in with that much rotation, really difficult for the catcher to get a read on it, where it's going to end up, and especially if it's 8 or 10 feet out in front of him.
Ventura's letting the situation get to him. But that last pitch shouted in anger. Dozier's battling just like Escobar. First 3 guys were swinging early. Try to tie him up inside, and that is ball 4, and I think Ned Yost is going to make a pitching change right here. Ventura tonight will go 5 1/3. After 5 terrific starts where he had an ERA of 1.13, his command was just a little off tonight as he walked 5 batters, did strike out 7, but leaves trailing 3-1. This is our Chevy call to the bullpen, Kelvin Herrera. MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet. Stay connected to the Royals all season wherever you are with the MLB.TV Game of the Day, in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, and more. Browse the app's new features, and all you have to do is download it on MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Well, here is Kelvin Herrera. He has not worked since August 28th in Tampa due to a case of chicken pox. In that appearance, he allowed a 2-out single and struck out a Ray in a scoreless 8th inning. But overall, he has had an excellent year, a 2.12 ERA, 53 strikeouts and 59 in the 3rd innings. He comes on wanting a strikeout or a double play.
Yeah, this will be a test for Herrera. Not only have to face Joe Mauer, you haven't been on the mound for so long, it's hard to be as sharp as you would like to be, but we'll see. Some guys are much different. Some guys like that rest and are much better.
First pitch misses, ball 1. Mauer's been on twice with a walk and a single, and he's hitting .352 with runners in scoring position.
I don't know where that pitch missed there, but that's exactly where he wants to stay on Mauer. You're going to get a ground ball when you keep it down.
Looked like a good changeup to me.
Yeah, and he's got great life on his fastball.
That one is a strike, and it's a 1-1 count.
This is exactly where they want Herrera. They want him to come in. He's got a power arm, blow it by him. He's a strikeout. Situations like this, less than 2 outs, runner in scoring position, close game. He's the perfect guy for this particular situation. Lefty's only hitting 140 off of Herrera.
Just did graze the bottom of that zone. Now it's a 2-2 count.
Unusual for lefties to have such a low batting average against a right-handed pitcher, but I think a lefty almost allows Herrera to use his changeup more effectively.
Runner goes. The pitch is swung on and driven to center field. Kane is back, makes the catch, but tagging at third. Escobar, he will score the Twins' 4th run. So Mauer gets the sacrifice fly. 3 runs so far in the inning.
Fastball, dead red, right down the middle. Mauer, short and compact. He knows I'm going to let Herrera supply that power. All I got to do is put a short, quick swing on it, and he gets the job done.
It's 2 Giordano Ventura wild pitches, very costly.
Dozier 10 for 14, stealing bases this year does not go, and the pitch to SANO is up and in, ball 1. KC was swept by Chicago, outscored 25-7 by the White Sox. Again, Dozier goes, a swing and a foul off by SANO. Dozier's going to have to go back. Or they call that just a swing and a miss, and the ball got away. It is a stolen base for Brian Dozier.
That fastball having some good life into the righty. It hit Savi in the heel of the glove. He couldn't get it out.
Check swing low. Well, YORDANO Ventura just didn't have that great command. I mean, he walked 5 in this ball game, gave up 3 runs in the 6th. His previous 5 starts, he allowed a total of 4 runs. Tonight, 4 runs. Minnesota has been very patient. And a swing and a miss by Miguel Sano. Foul tip to the glove. 2-2 count. He really roared back. Look at a good fastball there.
Oh man, I'm telling you, that fastball has some teeth on it.
And then Sano hits one to third. Nice backhand by Moose. Good pick by Hosmer on the other end. Ends the inning. But Minnesota scores 3 runs in the 6th to take a 4-1 lead over KC. Game, tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag KC Data Strong for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile. And since 1969, the very first year of Royals baseball. And the 6th inning is our Sonic Slam inning. Our contestant is Terry Austin from Independence. The Royals hit a home run in this inning, Terry will win $100. But if the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Terry will win $25,000 from Sonic, and the Royals will have the lead. The Royals have Jabba Chamberlain warming in their bullpen after Herrera was able to work out of further trouble in the 6th. Ventura's line tonight, giving up 4 runs in 5 1/3 innings. Struck out 7 but walked 5.
Ty Malone, now 3rd time through the order, starting to come inside with the fastball. ZOBRIST, you got him to swing out of the zone, which ZOBRIST doesn't normally do. He hits it right at him.
1 out. There is Chamberlain. He and Lewis Coleman were called up today. The Royals wanting more right-handed relief help. And as Joe Goldberg told you, it also brought him back to a guy he knows very well, Dave Island, who was his pitching coach in the minor leagues and also with the New York Yankees. Ventura getting together with Johnny Cueto about what perhaps went wrong tonight. Just a little wild, not only with the walks, but with the wild pitches. Lorenzo Cain takes a strike. The Royals have had only 1 base runner since Moustakas' single in the 2nd, and that was a walk to Johnny Gomes.
Well, we're seeing it again. Another lefty hitting his spots and shutting the Royals offense down. We're seeing it now. Those extra runs that Malone got, he'll be even tougher.
The Royals are only 26-24 versus left-handed starters this year and have a greater difficulty against the soft tossers than they do the hard throwers. They like the Royals center fielder, don't we all? 1 for 2 today and scored the Royals' only run. Check swing on a breaking ball low, and he did not swing.
There will be no teams the rest of the way they're going to back down from the Royals. This time of year, teams want to spoil. They want to always attack the team that's at top. They want to have their best games, and they're going to see it, believe me. And we've been seeing some excellent pitching against the Royals, even though they've beat good pitching before. But look where you're putting that ball. I mean, he is cruising Tommy Milone.
Well, they are fighting for their life, the Minnesota Twins, because they were just a game and a half out at the start of the night. And then New York beat Baltimore 8-6. Boston beat Toronto 11-4, tightening up the Eastern race. And the Yankees still have a little edge on both Minnesota, but they're creeping up on Toronto in that East. He has thrown 16 of 21 first pitch strikes.
And that's the key. He's getting ahead, and then he can execute what he wants when he wants.
It has been Glavine-esque tonight. Tom Glavine never seemed rattled, always hit the outside corner and would occasionally come inside, but Haas to third. 3 up, 3 down in the 6th. Minnesota takes a 4-1 lead over Kansas City to the 7th.
He's cruising.
High-speed internet. The U-verse revolves around you. Call 1-800-PIC-ATT. By your Midwest Ford dealers, visit us at yourmidwestforddealers.com. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price every day. Steve Miziak, Rex Hudler, Jeff Montgomery, Joel Goldberg at Kauffman Stadium, Kansas City. This is game 1 of a 3-game series. And Java Chamberlain, the newest Royal, called up today. Spent a little time with the Detroit Tigers, and he is our Chevy call to the bullpen.
Well, I think that 340 average against had something to do with the Tigers not using him, especially when you come in late in games and they're getting hits off you. That usually happens. He's got a fastball. It'll go low to 94. Slider and a change.
He is facing Trevor Plouffe to lead things off. Plouffe has been on twice with a single and a walk. Four runs, 8 hits for Minnesota. 1 run on 3 hits for the Royals.
And having pitched in the Central, he knows all these hitters.
Pretty good numbers at the K. Wow. We remember when he came up with the New York Yankees, and there were people raving about him after he had a sensational spring training, and they were saying, what will he be? Will he be the closer? Will he be the starter? Well, he was a little bit of both as a reliever and as a starting pitcher with the Yankees, and then fell on some hard times. Now trying to get back. But as he told the media before the ball game, Monty, he goes, you know, I didn't spend that much time in the minor leagues. So spending some time up at Omaha was nice because I went to the University of Nebraska. I got to see Gordo, and he came back and he was rehabbing. So it was well played.
Well, and the influence that Dave Island can potentially have on him here. You know, he's a guy that has fixed a lot of guys, and Dayton Moore said over and over, having power arms, having a stockpile of arms to go to, can never have enough of them.
Well, he will walk Plouffe to start the 7th inning. And this is a team that doesn't walk much, but they have walked 6 times tonight. The Royals walked the fewest times in the American League. But the Twins are 12th out of 15 teams.
Ned Yost said the other day that Dave Island is the best pitching coach he's had in his managerial career. Says he's great with mechanics, he studies film, and he's great with the mentality of the players, and that's important.
And it's unusual to have a pitching coach that has both the philosophy side as well as the mechanics side, being really good at both.
Well, he does have that commanding presence. Fouled off.
You know, Dave Island would fit well with tonight, Armed Forces night. Got that clean crew cut, firm. He's got a little old school in him. He's a no nonsense type of guy, but there he is. One of the best. There's no question about it, man. Look what he's done with the staff.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting to see some stripes on his shoulders. We had posters celebrating the Navy, the Army, Air Force, and Marines. And certainly they were honored before the ball game tonight on Armed Forces Night on this Labor Day holiday. And they're here to see perhaps a great Kansas City comeback. But they want to keep these Twins quiet. The Twins had won 4 straight series before losing 2 of 3 at Houston.
Just caught the corner there. Rosario wasn't happy about it.
And then a good fastball in the mid-90s. He blows away Eddie Rosario, who strikes out for the 3rd time tonight.
Climbs the ladder here with this fastball. Chamberlain's numbers weren't impressive with what he's done up to this point this season, but his stuff looks really good.
Sure does. We're seeing some 95s and 96s. Slider want to get ahead.
Yeah, he made 30 appearances with the Tigers this year with a 4.09 ERA, and had a rather high ERA with Omaha at 6.43. He got the call up, and I think because of his big league experience and playoff experience. Now Torrey Hunter. He started the trouble in that 6th inning with a leadoff single off Ventura. The next 2 batters would also single, and then Ventura got wild with the wild pitches and walks and had to leave the game. That's his career. The wind has picked up, blowing out towards left. And that ball smoked to left field, and that will be a base hit. Plouffe will be held at third base.
Torrey checks in with his second hit of the night in consecutive at-bats. That was a hanging slider. Torrey Hunter's seen several of those in his day. He knows when it comes up around the shoulder, it's going to end up right in the middle of the plate.
Pitcher's not going to get away with very many pitches up in the zone like that one.
So now Chamberlain to face the number 8 batter Kurt Suzuki, who reached on the infield hit his first time up. The Royals bringing their infield in. First pitch in there, strike one.
Suzuki knows what's going on right here with the infield drawn in. He's going to try to shorten his swing and use the opposite field. Anything elevated, try to get it up. He's a .294 hitter with a runner in scoring position. It's a good number.
And you always wonder what might have been when Suzuki struck the ball up the middle in that last inning. Escobar went behind the bag. We've seen Escobar make some incredible plays this year. If he throws accurately to ZOBRIST at second base, they've got a chance at a 6-4-3 double play, and perhaps Minnesota doesn't score in that sixth. But the throw went wild. Both reached, and then the trouble continued for Ventura.
Yeah, by the time he catches the ball, if he could have somehow slowed down, stopped, and took a little bit more time with the force play, might have gotten him. That flip play works, but you really got to throw it behind you.
Well, the one thing that you've always said from the first moment I started working with you, Hud, said first man sure, second man quick. And the first man looked like he was quick. Popped up, fouled, out of play. Plouffe at third, Hunter second. Didn't miss by much, but it did miss. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Suzuki chases this one in the dirt. Perez completes the strikeout. And that's a second big out here in inning number 7.
A real nice finish on this breaking ball. He'd thrown 2 fastballs past Suzuki, so he had to protect the fastball, and then he throws the off-speed pitch, able to pull the string.
Yeah, and Salvi's not going to dare let another one get by him or under him if he can help it. 2 wild pitches led to 2 runs tonight from Ventura. Salvi smothered that one.
So now Rosario, who's been on base all 3 times with the walk, the double, the single. Escobar has upped his average to .268. Ball 1. Very talented utility player they acquired in the deal for Francisco Liriano. Chicago needed a starter, and Minnesota needed a shortstop. 2 balls, no strikes. Knots the outside corner to run the count to 2-1. Chamberlain taking a lot of time, so Escobar, he asked for time to refocus. Aaron Hicks is in the on-deck circle for the Twins. Good rip on the off-speed pitch and fouled back. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Haven't seen too many changeups yet. Maybe this is a good time for one.
He's got that, I don't know if the curveball or a slider, but it just kind of bottoms out a lot like Greg Holland's slider does, how it doesn't really break laterally, it just kind of goes straight down.
Yep, and he's had a little bit of difficulty commanding it here in this inning.
Then a fastball is hit towards left, and a great effort by Orlando, but it drops in fair territory, and both runs will score. Good pitch, and he got what he wanted, a strikeout or a pop-up, and this pop-up just landed in perfect location down that left field line.
Paulo did a great job of getting to it. I mean, he really busted over and just couldn't glove it.
Well, when you're hot, and Eduardo Escobar certainly is. A walk, a double, a couple of hits, 3 RBIs, and now it is 6-1 Minnesota, and the batter's Aaron Hicks. Strike 1. The Royals have not lost 4 straight since June 29th through July 2nd. They were swept by the White Sox and trailing 5 runs here in the top of the 7th inning against the Minnesota Twins in Game 1 of this series. Foul. Hicks to left field, but that will find the seats in foul territory, and they'll try it again at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Again tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, it's Edinson Volquez for Kansas City and Kyle Gibson throwing for Minnesota. Wednesday, 7 o'clock, has Chris Medlin against Mike Pelfrey, former Wichita State Shocker. There you have it. Gibson has had very good success at times this year. He's either been very, very good or very, very bad. 9-9 record, 3.84 ERA, and the Royals have seen him at his best and also at his worst.
Well, you can expect him to be on top of his game. Like we said, these guys coming in here, especially at the K, they know that they can gain ground quickly and not necessarily trying to catch the Royals. However, they don't got that wild card eye.
Runner goes, pitch is swung on, hit to Escobar. He'll go to first and record the final out of the 7th inning. But 2 more runs come across. The Twins, with 5 runs in their last 2 innings, have now opened up a 6-1 lead on Kansas City. And we will keep it right here and listen to Krista Joyce sing "God Bless America."
Freedom and those who work to defend it. Please welcome Krista Joyce from the United States Air Force Academy Band as she sings "God Bless America."
As the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us pledge allegiance to a land that's free. We should all be grateful for a land so fair as we lift our voices in this solemn prayer. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans wide we foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home.
Around the league, New York won, Toronto lost, so a half a game separates them. Oakland in a slugfest beats Houston, and Texas shuts out Seattle. So Texas putting the pressure on Houston. Our Mazda game break takes us to Cincinnati. It's been a rough year for the Reds, but they're now 10-4 against Pittsburgh. A sac fly ball gets thrown away on this play, and so the Pirates, after a very impressive performance last night by Garrett Cole against St. Louis, not looking very sharp today, skips away, and so Pittsburgh has the third best record in the American League. The Cardinals, who have the best record, got blasted today, and the Royals right now losing to Minnesota 6-1. So a tough day for some of the best teams in baseball, including Toronto, as we pointed out to you. Coming up after the game on Boulevard Royals Live, maybe we'll talk about a Royals rally here in the 7th inning and later as Kendrys Morales leads it up. We'll hear from Jeff Montgomery what went wrong for YORDANO VENTURA. He certainly had an okay game, but not dominant like he had been recently. We'll talk about Tommy Milone and what he's been able to do so far against the Royals offense. Hear from Ned Yost, player reaction, and much more.
Thank you very much, Joel. And Tommy Milone certainly has been on his game. Through 6 innings, he allowed the Royals only 3 hits, and they just got their 4th on a ground ball up the middle. Now Johnny Gomes will step to the plate. He is 0 for 1 with a walk. Royals were down 6-1 yesterday and rallied and almost knocked off the Chicago White Sox before falling 7-5. Even if the Royals lose this game, they're still 4 games clear of the next best record in the American League, which is Toronto. Toronto is 78 wins, the Royals with 82. Toronto blasted today by Boston at Fenway Park 11-4. One-two count to Gomes.
Johnny's being patient up there waiting for his pitch, but Malone has been so good at getting ahead of hitters tonight. He's getting ahead and then he's able to execute what he wants. Change up away coming again.
And it's a called strike 3, and Johnny is out number 1 for Tommy Malone in the 7th inning.
Yep, 2 strikes, a little bit too close to be taken. I think Johnny Gomes would like to have been able to at least try to foul that off, but again, it's Tommy Malone who's precision-like with his pitches.
They do have a right-hander warming up in the Minnesota bullpen. That is Casey Fiend. Both teams, since the rosters expanded, just have a ton of personnel down there. A lot of hitters, a lot of pitchers, both left and right. And now Moose, who swings and misses. Mike singled his first time up, struck out swinging in the 4th. Twins have already equaled the number of wins they had all of last season. They finished last year 70-92, 5th in the American League Central. And there's a sharp base hit to left center field by Mike. That will get Morales to third base.
That's excellent approach here. Now Moose earlier was swinging at pitches that were breaking balls away, trying to pull them, and he says, all right, I'm just going to go quiet with my body, not try to do a lot, trust my hands, and stay inside that ball.
And that young lady likes Salvi and wants him to come through right here. Salvi 0 for 2. There's a shot to the alley. Will Hicks get there? Yes, he will. Morales will tag and come home with the Royals' 2nd run. Well, the Twins defense had them played perfectly for Salvador Perez. If they were straight up, that's a gapper to the wall, but Hicks had shaded him towards left. Paulo Orlando, who twice has grounded out. Seemed like Malone worked him soft away and then would cut that fastball in.
You know, Malone, he's been working ahead for most part of the night, but he's done a great job of dissecting the outer half. The Royals not going to the opposite field, still trying to pull it.
1 ball, 1 strike. The Royals have 1 opposite field hit in this game, and that was the Moustakas hit in the 7th inning. He's still at first. A Drive to left. Get up. It's off the wall. Moustakas is going to be sent home. The throw to the plate. Got him.
Feet more, a little bit more height on that ball, and Paulo would have put 2 more on the board and kept his hitting streak alive. Throw went offline, but when Plouffe got to it, he had time to throw a strike home. Good tag.
He has a rather high ERA, but he's only pitched in 2 innings. This is a young man with a very lively fastball and an excellent changeup.
He'll mix in a nice curveball too.
Zobi Juan Benobi. That must be Ben Zobrist.
Yes, it is.
May the force be with you.
Yeah, and Fizz, you know, sorry I haven't mentioned it till now, but happy 30th anniversary to you and Stacy.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, way to go, bud.
She's not only a wonderful wife, but she's my best friend.
Nice. Love her. She's a beauty. You way out punted your coverage.
You got that right. Almonte facing Aaron Hicks. First pitch, Brian Dozier. Hicks made that final out of the 7th inning, and Brian Dozier will lead things off. And he rolls one that will wind up in foul territory. We had a lot of English on it and spun from fair territory by 3-4 feet to about 5-6 feet in foul territory. We told you about Miguel. He's a 6'2" right-hander from Santiago in the Dominican Republic, and the Royals really have watched him grow up since he first pitched for the Dominican Royals in 2011. We've seen some 98, 99 with that fastball. Dozier swings and pops it up on the infield. Mike Moustakas wants it. He'll take it for out number 1. Let's take a look at our sprint cuts of the game.
That's right. It was the breaking ball down underneath Salvi's glove that allowed a run. That hurt him right there. And then this one here even hurt worse as it moved the runners up. And then the sacrifice fly by Mauer was able to score. Twins staying aggressive. Going 3 in the 6th and 2 in the 7th.
So Joe Mauer up for the 5th time. He has struck out, walked, singled, and hit the sacrifice fly that Hud was talking about. Kansas City, they have led this season series 8 victories to 5, and it's usually been because of good pitching. Team ERA was 2.79 coming into tonight. And there's a ground ball up the middle. Escobar will field, twirl, throw, just in time.
Escobar, if he can get his glove on it, there's a good chance he's going to make it out. That strong arm he's got, Haas able to stay on the base. Nice play. He makes these plays look easy. I think for a minute Molitor was thinking about asking for a review on that based on Hosmer's foot coming off the bag.
I wonder how many errors that young man has saved.
Oh,
he is
tons
fantastic.
Yeah, he is. In that 6'5" frame, those long arms and legs, believe me, that has a lot to do with the gold he wears on his left hand.
Well, Escobar told me that early in the season. I don't think when Hosmer's over there, I just throw it because he gets every single one of the low ones out of the dirt, and then he's so tall, he just gets my high throws too.
Yeah, Hosmer's glove is on his right hand. I said left hand. What am I thinking? Let's go, but he wears the gold, believe it.
We forgive you, Hud.
Thank you.
Sano has had a rough night. He did walk in the first, but since then 2 strikeouts and a ground out, so he has struck out in 11 of his last, let's see here, 15 plate appearances, 14 plate appearances. Righty slugger, very good power. That's the changeup we were talking about.
It's got some velocity on it too, 92 miles an hour. That's pretty impressive.
And you wonder, Hud, if there'll be a time where he really understands how to manipulate that changeup, where he can go 92 that we just saw and then throw it like an 85.
Yeah, then, you know, like I mentioned, he's got a nice overhand curve too. So there's 3 very nice weapons he's got. The only thing he's missing, and I'm sure he'll gain that, is experience. His level.
There's the breaking ball. Where did that miss? Wow. So Sano walks for the 2nd time.
Yeah, it was down.
That's why the Royals are looking at Almonte, because of the number of pitches that he has, looking at him as a starter rather than a reliever.
Most pitchers start out in their careers in the bullpen. Just a handful of guys that are able to go right to the slab as a starter.
Danny Santana coming on to pinch run for Miguel Sano. Santana's a very talented athlete who can play multiple positions, all 3 outfield spots, middle infielder as well. And they tried to pick him off, and Hosmer did a great job just making sure that ball didn't go down the right field line.
He made an excellent play there, but what was impressive was he tried to trick Santana into thinking the ball got by him. Watch this, Santana can't see it. And look, he almost sold it. And he tried to tag. That's beautiful. That's heads up right there, because all intents and purposes, that ball's in the outfield. Santana got up ready to advance. Had he stepped off the bag, Haas would have got him.
That would have been great.
Look at Haas selling it. Yeah, that's beautiful. Ozzie even opened his mouth like, oh no. He's a good actor.
That's Butch Davis, former Royal.
Now he's smiling back at Santana.
Yeah.
Here we almost got you. Trevor Plouffe's been on 3 times, a single, a pair of walks. Royal pitching rather wild in this one. They have walked 7 batters, 5 by YORDANO VENTURA, 1 by Jobber Chamberlain, and now 1 by Almonte.
Yeah, I mentioned the first base coach, Butch Davis. He was a Royal. He got a little time in 1983. A little bit of time in 84. Butch Davis, I played against him in the minor leagues. He's a good player. Got good speed. Got some pop.
Good changeup on a fastball count. Now it's 2-2 to Plouffe. Boy, if he can locate him like that one. Wow. Looked like it was going to be fastball outside corner, then just dropped. Throw to second base. Zobrist with the tag, but Santana with the steal. Second stolen base by Minnesota tonight.
Santana rips off his 8th. Didn't get the best of jumps either. Throw was a little bit high. Allowed him to get in there. Perfect throw. Might have gotten him.
So Perez out for a visit with the rookie Almonte, who's just pitching in his 3rd big league game. He made 17 starts for Northwest Arkansas this year before being called up to AAA on July 15th. 6-6 record, 4.5 ERA. There's that 92-mile-an-hour changeup again. And then he blows him away with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball that runs up and in on Trevor Plouffe. Strikes him out.
This young man has a great future ahead of him.
We have not seen the rain that was anticipated, and fans, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Royals. It was Armed Forces Night tonight, and several young people from the area. Oh my, and that was a wonderful moment before the ball game.
Sure was extremely emotional, especially all those servicemen and women that put their lives on the line to keep our freedom here so we can broadcast games, the players can play it, and we can live our lives. Sure do. Thank you.
Trevor May, who we last saw as a starting pitcher. He's been in relief ever since, and there's a shot down the line by Alcides Escobar. So the Royals open the 8th well with a single by Esky.
Capitalize on that little slider there. He's got a fastball slider, a curve and a change from his starting days, but mainly going fastball slider in this 8th inning role that he's in now. There's another adjustment that Paul Molitor made, taking him out of the starting rotation. They needed a strong arm, a guy that had some power in his fastball there at the back end to go along with Glenn Perkins, but Glenn Perkins is not here. He's having back spasm issues, so he's not closer now. That's Kevin Jepson's role.
Trevor May really had a rough outing yesterday at Houston, gave up 3 runs, didn't even record an out. And that might be 2. A 4-6 and a 3, a double play. Trevor May is a young man that they acquired from the Philadelphia Phillies back in 2012. He was the Phillies' 4th round pick in 2008 out of Kelso, Washington, where he was not only a great athlete, he was also very good with his grades. He was the school class valedictorian. Lewis Coleman starting to warm in the Kansas City pen as Kane takes strike 1. Fouled off.
Now the rain's starting to come down lightly now.
Kane whacks it down the right field line, just barely foul. Lorenzo singled his first time up and went to third on the Hosmer single, scored on Morales' ground out. That tied the game at 1. It stayed that way until the 6th. Plouffe, bare hands, throws, not in time. That's one of the things that the locals love about that young man. He always hustles on another infield hit.
Better believe it. He runs hard, and he earned this one, but this is a tough play by Plouffe. And really, that ball kicks on that grass, and it kicked off to the dugout side, and he's able to make it close, but Lorenzo Kane earned it.
That was his 500th career hit, so they'll grab the baseball, and that will go in his trophy room.
But first to the authenticator. He's going to put a stamp on it. Congratulations, Locaine.
Hosmer, the batter. Eric has only seen lefties tonight in Tommy Malone. Fouled off.
August 14th was the last time Hosmer homered. He's due. Had a good rip there.
Yeah, he had that unbelievable stretch. in the middle of July until the middle of August. Cool off a little bit. And then he takes a mighty rip at a 97-mile-an-hour fastball from Trevor May. Haas just 10 hits in his last 41 at bats and only has 1 extra base hit in his last 8.
Yeah, you know, it's peaks and valleys. You know, they need his bat though to heat up in the worst way.
Kane goes, the pitch is swung and then grounded off the backside of Trevor May and then rolls out towards short. So the Royals have 2 on with 2 out here in the 8th inning, trailing by 4. A hit for Hosmer.
There's some good luck there, a little bit of good fortune. We haven't seen a lot of that for the Royals offense lately, but that likely would have been gloved by the shortstop Escobar.
And even though they're down 4, they're having fun because Kane howled at Hosmer and Hosmer howled back like a coyote. So here is Morales. Takes a mighty rip. Strike 1.
That 98, 97-mile-an-hour fastball up there going to be tough to square up. Let's see him down. Get him down. Fans believe. So do the Royals. They're never out of any game.
Morales hitting over 400 on this homestand. How about a big one here? A little bit low. 1 ball, 1 strike. 3 for 6 with a bomb against Trevor May. Not bad.
That's as a starter. May's got a little more on his fastball now. He can conserve. He can, when he was starting, but now he can just go right to the pedal.
Foul back, and he had a good rip at that 97. The Royals have 3 hits in the inning, but no runs. Single by Escobar, then the double play by ZOBRIST, followed by infield hits by Kane and Hosmer.
Just on top of it. Had him out in front. Pulled the string on him at 88.
Good block by Suzuki. No advance by Kane or Hosmer.
Somehow Morales finds a way to get on. You wonder if Alex Gordon will pinch hit for Johnny Gomes in the on-deck circle. Got to find a way.
Oh, he had a rip. Another fastball at 97.
It's so nice for the Royals to have a home run threat in their order. I mean, they have some guys that can hit homers, and you know, Morales isn't exactly tearing the cover off the ball when it comes to home runs. He's got 17, but this threat of having him in there, and he can do it.
He's hit as many as 34 in that great year he had with the Angels back in 2009.
Kevin Jepson getting loose for the night.
Out of play. So Morales will see at least 8 pitches in this duel.
Fastball, slider, changeup is what Morales has seen at this plate appearance.
2 on, 2 out. Again out of play, left side.
He just keeps challenging Morales up in the zone. And Morales fouling off pitches. And we've told you many times before, when hitters have these long counts and they're fouling pitches off, they're waiting for the good one. And that ball's down just another inch, and he can square it. See if he tries an off-speed pitch here, 2-2.
Way inside, 3-2.
Runners will be moving. A well-placed ball in the gap could score Haas easily.
See at least 11 now, shaking his head saying, how about a belt high 97. Few raindrops falling here at the K. And then he barely rolls one out in front of the plate. Suzuki will throw him out, and the Royals are done in the 8th inning. We head to the 9th. It's Minnesota 6, the Royals 2. Of the game, the first changeup that YORDANO Ventura threw hung, and Aaron Hicks did not miss it. That gave them a 1-0 lead. The Royals tied it with a run in the bottom of the first. It stayed that way until the 6th, when the Twins strung together 3 straight hits. Ventura got wild, threw a couple of wild pitches. 3 runs would eventually score in that inning. And it's been an uphill climb for KC ever since. Here's Lewis Coleman at AAA Omaha, a sharp 1.69 ERA, an 8-2 record.
Nah, he earned this promotion. Good job, Lewis. Good hard fastballs down at the knees, good sweeping slider, all from the low sidearm angle.
He will face Eddie Rosario, Torrey Hunter, and then Kurt Suzuki, and the raindrops continue to fall here in Kansas City when we understand that there's more coming. First pitch swinging and ground ball Hosmer. There's 1 out. That's what you'll see a lot with Lewis Coleman. He has that good sinker slider, and when he is on, he gets a lot of them. And my goodness, he had a lot of strikeouts. He had a stretch a couple of years ago where he was fantastic, and then had an injury in spring training last year where he broke a finger And he really didn't have that same late life that he had shown earlier in his career.
Yeah, and he wasn't getting a lot of sink on his fastball, and straightening out, they were getting it.
Lewis now 29 years of age. Out of Greenwood, Mississippi. He was a star at LSU. Left field. Paulo will run that one down, and very quickly 2 outs in the 9th inning. Coleman selected in the 5th round of the June draft back in 2009. He went 14-2 his senior year at LSU with a .293 earned run average, an All-American. He was the SEC Pitcher of the Year that season. Ground ball third. Moose has it. Suzuki is out. So we head to the bottom of the 9th inning. The Royals need 4 to tie. Jepson coming on. And they're legends, icons, and warriors. And starting next week, 2 of the biggest names in the UFC will face off as coaches as interim featherweight champion Conor McGregor and Uriah Faber join an all-new season of The Ultimate Fighter. The mayhem begins Wednesday only on Fox Sports 1. Aaron Hicks moves from center field to right field, and Byron Buxton, a marvelous defensive outfielder, comes into play center. And this is what we expect the outfield to be, we're told, tomorrow night. Rosario left, Buxton center, and Aaron Hicks in right. Kevin Jepson is their new closer. He's done a good job. 6-for-6 as a closer this year. Glenn Perkins, we told you, out with back spasms.
Well, Kevin Jepson is going to face Alex Gordon, who is 1 for 7 in his career with a homer. How about it? Jepson, hard thrower. 94, 95, might even see some 96s. Slider and a cutter.
Kevin was acquired from Tampa Bay on July 31st in exchange for 2 minor league pitchers. He made 46 appearances for the Rays in 2015, going 2-5 with 5 saves and a 2.81 ERA. One ball, one strike. One and two. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock start. Volquez and Gibson. That's the pitching matchup. And Wednesday will be the final game of this homestand, Medlin against Pelfrey. And then we're gone for about a week and a half. So you want to see those games. Here's the pitch. Inside corner. Strike 3 called. So Mike Moustakas will be the batter. He is 2 for 3 in the game. A single to right, a single to left. The Royals only have 1 extra base hit. That was the double by Paul Orlando. But on that play, Moustakas was thrown out at the plate. Fine throw by Trevor Plouffe. Up and away, ball 1. Twins trying to push their record to 71 and 66 and move a little closer to that wild card. They started the day a game and a half back. Swung on and missed, and both New York and Texas, the 2 teams in front of them, both won. Texas won 3-0 over Seattle, and New York bested Baltimore today 8-6. Yankees now within a half game of first place Toronto, who lost to Boston. Pulled to the right side, foul. And then Jepson, with that terrific breaking ball, strikes out Moustakas, so he has faced 2 and struck them both out.
I don't remember Jepson's slider having that kind of downward action to it. That's a beauty there. Thought he had a little more lateral movement to it, more into the lefty, but that one, that was like a curveball.
Well, he always had that very good fastball. And he at one time was a setup man for the Angels when they made some postseasons. And now Minnesota's hoping he can help lead their bullpen to the postseason. Fastball right there at the knees. 0-1. Perez did drive in his 59th run on a sacrifice fly. He dots the inside corner with a 94-mile-an-hour heater.
Yep, he's giving him some pitches. Alex didn't even swing the bat.
Dozier gets there, and game 1 of this 3-game series between the Twins and Royals is in the record books, and Minnesota wins 6-2, and the Royals have lost 4 straight games for the first time since June 29th through July 2nd. We'll be right back.